What's up, Dino Crew, and welcome back to Dino Harry's Gaming Thoughts. On a Thursday this week, I feel like putting it out on a Thursday would be better for you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on today's topic in the comments down below. Today, we are focusing on, are developers delaying games because they're being pressured by stakeholders to release it in an unfinished state, or are they doing it simply to generate hype? One of the biggest games that I can remember this happening to in the last couple of years is Watch Dogs. Now, with Watch Dogs, I personally was really hyped for it, as I'm sure many of you guys have been hyped for a game, only to see it get delayed over and over and over again. And as I say, you're not going to be the only ones out there. There's loads of you. But have you ever wondered why they've been delayed? Is it about polishing the game, or is there something bigger at play? Today we're going to be diving into whether game delays are about satisfying stakeholders or creating hype. Let's get into it. Now, mentioned Watch Dogs in the first section there. I remember watching the trailer back when I was in high school, so a long time ago now, and sitting there with my mates thinking this is going to be brilliant. Ubisoft have got a brand new game out. It's going to be awesome. You know, watching the trailer over and over and again. And then seeing the delay, and you're like, oh, okay, it's been delayed, but it's going to come out really well. And then seeing it delayed again and thinking, they must be delaying it to, absolute release a polished, brilliant game. And when it come out, it was awful. Like, it was nothing showed off the game. And I think the delays just killed it even more for me. And it's not the only game that's happened to. Nobody wants another Cyberpunk 2077 situation. Rushed releases often lead to buggy, unfinished games, and we as players end up suffering. However, is this really the full story? Developers have every reason to take their time. Building games is a complex process, and sometimes it's an artwork. And the problem is, crunch culture is already a major issue in the industry. Sometimes delays can help avoid burnt out and create better experiences for everybody. So the problem with crunch culture is that everybody wants something now. Like, if it's not done now, then what's the point? Us as consumers just want everything to come out now. We see a trailer for it, it's like, gotta come out now. We see something happen, and they have to meet deadlines for this, and putting that much pressure on people causes games to basically suck. In other words, that putting too much pressure on developers, and it's such a hard industry to be in. I know many people that are in the game development industry, and they there's some of the stories they come out with about people working extra hours and not being paid. And it was a famous story that came out with Rockstar a few years ago, where people were working overtime and not getting any compensation for it, and basically being tossed to the trash once it's done. There's got to be something changed with this crunch culture. Now let's talk about the business side, because game development isn't just about the art, it's a business model. And businesses have investors and stakeholders that sit right at the top of that tree. Sometimes delay happen not because the devs want them, but because the higher-ups demand a certain level of quality, or they might force it out early because they want to get the money rolling. A bad launch can hurt a company's stock prices, and that's a huge deal. Let's look at Star Wars Outlaws, brand new game that's come out in such a vast and brilliant universe. You'd have thought Ubisoft would have absolutely flipped their stocks with that. However, the game come out and it was awful. It was really poor. I stopped playing it after probably an hour and a half, just because they've took such a brilliant universe and made such a boring game of it. And now if we look at their stock prices, you can see that it absolutely tonked, because they forced the game out, it wasn't no good, and people started basically skipping Ubisoft and hating on Ubisoft. And with how powerful people are on the internet now, all you have to do is mention something, and as soon as you start getting traction, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. It's absolutely atrocious what they've done with that game. However, there is an upside to stakeholders developing a game. Major publishers like Rockstar might want to avoid competition and align with fiscal quarters, or even prevent market saturation. Some games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, I remember Battlefield 4, I believe it was delayed a little bit to miss the Call of Duty release, because they didn't want two games of the same sort of genre coming out at the same time. Because although you've got loyal fan bases to both, everybody eventually, if you pick up at two different times, will pick the games up and go, well, I'll play Battlefield for a bit, or I'll play Call of Duty for a bit, before vice versa the games come out. So it is sometimes beneficial for gaming companies to delay games. Moving on to the next section. Are delays just used to create hype around the game? Here's a wild thought. What if delays were something of intentional? Think about it. When a game gets delayed, it keeps people talking. Every new release date brings another wave of media attention, trailers, and speculation. Could it be some companies use delays as a marketing tactic? Now, if you look at some of the tweets here I've got on screen, as mentioned, that sometimes games get delayed and people are happy about it and it gets people pushing, and it's like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it coming out, although it's been delayed, just going to build my hype up even more. And it could be a marketing tactic, get people talking and get people involved. Now, I'm not saying that every delay is done for marketing reasons, but let's look at some patterns. Rockstar, for example, has delayed games strategically in the past, and even Nintendo has been known to push back their titles to ensure hype stays strong. Example of Breath of the Wild 2. They delayed that a couple of times, but the game came out absolutely perfect. It was brilliant. And the delay, did it possibly help push it up in the market a little bit? Who knows? The problem nowadays, however, is more and more games are getting delayed, and whether they release in a good state or a bad state, there's just too many delays going on. I personally would rather a game company not mention anything about a game until they're pretty happy with it, and then start building hype with it. If you look in the last few years, we've seen huge titles like Cyberpunk 2077, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Fable today has been announced that it's been delayed till 2026, Skull and Crossbones, Avowed. There's so many games that have been delayed, and sometimes for the good. Avowed has come out and it looks fantastic. Cyberpunk 2077 was delayed, come out and it was awful. Assassin's Creed Shadows, it looks fantastic in the trailers, but is it going to be another Watch Dogs situation where we're back at square one with the game just being awful? One of the big reasons I feel that games get delayed is the complexity of game development. As graphics and gameplay become more advanced, making games take even longer than ever. On top of that, the rise of live service elements and massive open worlds means studios need more time to get everything right. I feel studios are looking at trying to keep games running for longer. Look at GTA 5. If you look at the life cycle of the GTA games, GTA 5 absolutely whomps every other GTA game. But because there's an online platform that people are paying and it's bringing in money, it's allowing them to develop it and let studios take time to make games. But is it too much sometimes? Are they leaving too much of a gap and people are just getting bored of waiting? And let's not forget external factors. Pandemic-related distributions, industrial layoffs, and changing gaming trends all play a role in why developers are struggling to meet deadlines. But is it just a necessity, or have delays become something of the norm that studios know they can get away with? Are we as consumers happy that games just keep getting delayed? Now, some fans appreciate delays, especially if it means avoiding a disaster like Anthem or Fallout 76, and we know how poor those two games performed. Others feel frustrated, especially if you've pre-ordered or been waiting for years. Pre-orders is a massive issue in the gaming community at the moment. Incentivizing people to pre-order a game to get special stuff causes issues because you pre-order, you put your money down, and you don't even know when it comes out. You might pre-order, for example, Cyberpunk when that was announced, and not even know a release date for it. But the game developers have got your money already because they know they'll release it eventually. Let's look at some of the biggest gaming delays in history. Major delays like The Last of Us Part 2, Duke Nukem Forever, Star Citizen. Each game has had a different launch. Last of Us Part 2, when it was released, people were outraged at what was going on in the game. However, it was a fantastically well-built game. Star Citizen was delayed, and when it was released, it was buggy. Me personally, I played probably 2 to 3 hours of it and stopped playing it just because it was still buggy after launch, even after all the delays. It's becoming a bit of an issue where games are coming out in just a broken state. Duke Nukem Forever, I know my good friend Hamlander Gaming did a video on Duke Nukem and whether game studios are becoming too woke. I won't get into that one on this video though, but Duke Nukem Forever was delayed, and again, it come out and all the hype had gone for it because it was just being delayed and delayed and delayed. So, what do you think about this, guys? Are game delays purely for developmental reasons, or are companies sometimes use them to build anticipation and build that hype? Talk about it in the comments, and hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date so you don't get delayed on our next upload, and I'll catch you next time, guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.